Good morning, all, on this 3rd of November, 2018. Got a knife I want to share with you here and some information about this. First, I'll show you it's a wrought iron San-mai. Wrought iron San-mai, desert ironwood, what I call a Cowboy Bowie. Takedown affair. I hope you can get some sort of an idea of that. This wrought iron is just spectacular. The character has no end. It just goes on and on and on and on. Anyway, I got to thinking about this because this is my first wrought iron San-mai. I've done just a pickup truck full of stainless steel San-mai. Now, keep in mind, San-mai had been around for a very, very long time. You know, sometimes things come back into the public eye because somebody makes them popular. Well, I don't know when I actually started making the stainless steel San-mai that I've got a reputation for. Of course, it's been around a long time, been made by a lot of people, known by a lot of people, and shared and taught by a lot of people. But a fellow that made it popular, kind of like Bill Moran, didn't invent Damascus, but he read about it, figured out how to get it done, and then through some learning process made it popular again. Well, I saw Bert Foster post some stainless San-mai knives on blade forums. It'd been a good about 10 years ago. And I'm going to step back from that. Before that, I was attending Larry Bailey, who some people might know. He's no longer with us, but he was a co-founder with Kevin Jones of the Custom Knife Collectors Association. And I had a table at Larry Bailey had a show in Ohio that was called the Ohio Classic Knife Show. And I found myself one year sitting next to a fellow named Matt Bailey. Well, Matt is not related to Larry Bailey, but Matt Bailey had these cool knives on his table, and they were a 3-part affair. Just like you can see, this is 3-part: the wrought iron, and then the carbon steel core in the middle. Well, Matt had these knives that had this cool stuff on the outside of it, and I asked him what it was, and it was 203E, which is basically it's a high pressure vessel steel, but it was about a 3% nickel mild steel, basically, and the nickel makes it real tough. Well, it also gave it some real cool character, and I liked it, and he talked me through the process of how he did it, and for a while I was making 203E San-mai knives I just was, I would kind of call them like a 3-layer Damascus. They were just a laminated affair. And then I hadn't made too many of those, and Bert Foster started posting these San-mai knives on blade forums. Well, shortly thereafter, at the ABS Hammer-In, which is also in Ohio, the Mid-America Classic at SOFA, SOFA, Southern Ohio Forge and Anvil, I went, and Bill Wiggins, who's a buddy of Bert Foster, and Daniel Warren did a demo on stainless San-mai at the Hammer-In. And as soon as I saw that, I went to see that demo. I came back home, dialed in my procedure on stainless San-mai, and I've been making it for 10 years. It's been 10 years ago. So I was, with the 203E, I was actually making San-mai before I knew it was called San-mai. So, but this is the first time I've ever made wrought iron San-mai. And it is just has extraordinary character to it. So that's kind of how I got around to this piece of wrought iron, because the customer urged me. He said, "Carl, would you make me a Cowboy Bowie wrought iron San-mai with wrought iron fittings?" I got to point out that yes, these are wrought iron fittings as well. You should be able to see that when you take the wrought iron to basically just a hand sanded, it just looks like a perfect little piece of stainless steel or something like that until you etch it in acid, and that's what the acid does to it, which quite honestly is the same thing going on in here. The acid reacts to the manganese in the tool steel, but then it shows you this very extraordinary character in the wrought iron. So anyway, this is how this knife came to be. And this is a special comment to Martin. I have had, who's the customer here, I had a horrible time. This is a Saturday with my camera, battery's going dead, a SD card going invalid somehow, or some sort of issue, and swapping that out. I'm going to miss getting this in the mail at noon. It's, as I turn around here, it's 11:35 now, and I haven't even got this thing sharpened yet. So it's going to go out Monday morning. Anyway, do a quick takedown for you. This is now wrought iron, of course, is not steel. You'd have to iron plus carbon equals steel. So this stuff is just dead soft. So I can't make a finial out of wrought iron because the threads would have no integrity. So I made this out of stainless steel and then sort of sandblasted it to give it a dull, rough character. So it's not shiny, you know, or standing out anyway. So this is stainless steel. And I do it so this is, when it's tight, you don't see the hole from the side. And this is a little takedown wrench I made. This is a piece of 5/16 stainless, but this is spring tempered W1. This is a W1 1/8" rod of W1 that I hardened and then did a spring temper on it, about a 575 spring temper twice, so it won't break. It's not brittle, but it's really, really tough. And a little set screw to hold it in place, because what we want to do is be able to reach that hole without the wrench hitting or scratching this butt cap. So I have to have a long length that's hard and won't bend. So that's why I hardened the W1 rod. So it comes apart quite nicely. This was, I think, 7/16 stainless 416, and I turned it down and so forth. Now this butt cap is a little, I actually have to stick this finial right in there and tweak it sideways just a little bit to kind of get it started. There's what's going on down in there, is the threaded tang. Now this little shoulder here is going to sit on a ledge. See that ledge in that finial? This sits on that ledge right there and actually spins free. There's just a couple thousandths. This is tightened down. There's just a few thousandths gap between the finial and the butt cap. That way I'm not putting any scratches on the butt cap. I put my fingers on that spacer, push the handle off. I did a couple flutes in the spacer. It's not a ferrule, it's a spacer. And there's a dot right up here at the top, which indicates the top of the spine of the knife. I don't know if you noticed, there's facets on the handle, no oil there, that line up. I don't know if I can get that on there. That line up with the contours. And then the guard and the handle, or that's a blade. This is a handle. Anyway, there we have our wrought iron San-mai Cowboy Bowie. Put that dot goes up there at the top. And make things simple. All these holes, even though this is only, you know, I think this is 200 thousandths thick, the hole's only like 120 thousandths into there, and then, you know, these are 625 thousandths, another ½ inch into here. You can use the pins in either the front of the knife or the back of the knife. I make the holes so it doesn't matter, and it's easier just to put the pins in the butt cap, get them started in the hole, just like that. Anyway, oh, and I didn't show, made a pretty simple sheath for this thing. Tighten this back up and get her tight just like that. Here's the this is the sheath made for it with just a simple, boy, the colors. I'm looking at the color of the sheath and then how it looks in the real light. There's a big difference. Little bow tie affair with a stud. And there she is. All right, that's this one. On to the next one. Thanks for indulging me.